Hello, today we'll introduce, read and analyze one interesting character from the general prologue of the Canterbury Tales, the wife of Bath. She is one of the two female storytellers. She is also the prioress, and she has been, she has traveled all over the known world. She has also had 5 husbands. So we can say that she's a worldly person, meaning that she has seen the world, but she also has experience about what life is in reality. Let's start with the first part. A worthy woman from beside Bath City was with us, somewhat deaf, which was a pity. In making cloth she showed so great a bent, she bettered those of Ypres and of Ghent. So here we have, first of all, an introduction to this character. She lives in Bath. Now, Bath was an important center for the creation of textiles, cloth, in the Middle Ages, and it was a growing market, competing against those of North Europe, in particular Netherlands and Belgium. This is why the two cities of Ypres and Ghent. She was somewhat deaf. She could not hear in one ear. We may infer from this that probably one of her husbands beat her, and so she was physically abused. Let's continue. In all the parish not a dame dare stir towards the altar steps in front of her, and if indeed they did, so wroth was she as to be quite put out to charity. Now Chaucer describes an aspect of her religious life. In all the parish, she was the first one to sit in front of the altar. And you may think that, this is a sign of a devout heart, a religious person. But if another woman took her place in front of the altar, then she was really angry, wrath, and she was, she didn't feel compassion, understanding, or charity. She was really angry, and this is against the idea we have of religion. In other words, she doesn't seem to be able to control her passions. Let's move on to her clothes. Her kerchiefs were of finely woven ground. I dared have sworn they weighed a good 10 pounds. The one she wore on Sunday on her head. Her hose were the finest scarlet red, and gartered tight. Her shoes were soft and new. Now, the description of her clothes shows how rich, how wealthy she has become because of her profession, because of the money given her by her previous husbands. For example, the handkerchief, the veil that they used to put on their heads were very, very thick, very, very fine cloth, very expensive. And the hose, the talking, her legs were covered with a material that was scarlet red, very bright, very visible, and they were tight to show the outline of her legs. Don't forget that the color red, scarlet red, was quite expensive because it was not produced locally. They had to import it from some countries. And her shoes were very expensive, soft and new. Bold was her face, handsome and red in hue, a worthy woman all her life. What's more, she's had 5 husbands, all at the church door, apart from other company youth. No need just now to speak of that, forsooth. She has had 5 husbands officially. Let's not talk now of all the affairs she had when she was young. The description is a provoking one. For example, her clothes. We think, but does she follow the typical pattern, the typical model of a woman should follow according to the Christian religion? Because you see, women were basically, of course, described, divided into categories. Either they were saints, like let's say the Virgin Mary, very, very good, or they were very, very bad, sinners, like Eve, a temptation. And she is, in this case, is quite unusual. All those husbands, she's rich, independent. Let's continue. And she had thrice been to Jerusalem. seen many strange rivers and passed over them. She's been to Rome and also to Boulogne, St. James of Compostela and Cologne, and she was killed in wandering by the way. The first impression is that if she went to all those famous places as a pilgrim, we might think that she's a very devout soul. Italy, France, Spain, Germany, all the way. Jerusalem, such a long way, very expensive journey, by the way. But in the end, Chaucer says, and she was killed in wandering by the way. So we understand that in reality she was like a tourist. She wanted to have adventures, to see new places. So she traveled to those famous places because they were typical routes, places where to go. But yes, there was a religious reason also, but most of all, for it was an adventure and also a moment to a social opportunity to meet new people. She had gap teeth set wildly, truth to say. Easily on an ambling horse she sat, well wimpled up, and on her head a hat as broad as is a buckler or a shield. She had a flowing mantle that concealed large hips, her heels spurred sharply under that. The description of this woman is quite interesting because it is sexually suggestive. We have been told about her clothes, expensive and bright, quite visible. Her legs, the stockings were, very tight. Legs, feet with very soft shoes, hips, large hips, and most importantly, the teeth. There was a gap among the teeth, quite large. Now, in those years, different from today, if you have gap teeth, you do something to repair them, to remove the gap. But in those years, in the Middle Ages, this was for them a symbol of sensuality and lust, extreme sexual desire. Not only, but her face was a bit red, so he looks like a person that is shameless, that has no problems in doing what she wants, she desires. In company, she liked to laugh and chat, and knew the remedies for love's mischances, an art in which she knew the oldest dances. So she was a very sociable person. She enjoys talking. She's quite bright, but she's not an intellectual. She knows how to survive, how to improve her condition. Just because she had a long line of husbands, she had in her power. Why? Why can we say that? Because she knew the oldest dances. What are the oldest dances? A dance, you dance with a partner, and you have to synchronize the movements of the two. In here, talking about sex, Chaucer is saying that she gave her husbands what they wanted in exchange for something she wanted. So her body was used as a bargain, as an exchange. She did not give her sexual pleasures if they did not do what she asked of them. Let's draw some conclusions. First of all, this woman is not a saint, according to the ideas of the period. She looks like a wicked woman. On the one hand, she wants to show that she's a religious person. She goes on pilgrimages. She's the first to be in front of the altar and so on. But on the other hand, she cares about herself, basically, about how she appears, about her personal gain advantage. Recently, some have considered the wife of Bart as the first examples of feminism. But if we read the description with attention, we understand that she's not a woman who cares about the benefit of the other women in the world. She's not fighting for the rights of women. She only cares about herself. And she believes that everything is for sale. Everything has a price. What is her currency? What does she use to gain advantages? She uses her body. And in so doing, she increases her independence, her wealth. On the one hand, she's one of the first women to be independent, economically independent. She can travel alone around the world without, a man to accompany her, to protect her. She's independent. She has chosen several husbands who died because they were not very young. She chose elderly people so she could, control them much better. But on the other hand, if we think of the typical woman of the Middle Ages, she's quite different. She's not a stereotyped woman of the Middle Ages because she's independent. Thank you.